What's up guys, Brendan Hancock here with another episode of Groove Subaru today, and once again I am accompanied by my good friend and colleague, Mr. Benjamin Brooks.
How's it going, guys?
So today we are back here at the Glendale Farm Open Space Dog Park here to take a look at two specific vehicles. To my left right here I have a 2015 Subaru BRZ, and Ben, tell me a little bit about your car as well.
2015 WRX STI.
Perfect. So you're probably wondering, why are we comparing these two cars? For example, now these are both certified pre-owned vehicles that we have actually at our dealership currently, but they're very, very different. I mean, Ben, tell us a little bit first about your car.
Well, basically, this is the fastest car that Subaru makes. And not to dig on yours or anything, that's a very, very cute car.
Oh, thank you.
But this one is good all year round. So whether you're in the snow, you're in the summer, going through the mountains, doesn't matter where you live, this is an all-around great vehicle because you can use it no matter what weather, unlike...
Okay, first of all, I get you there. This is Subaru's only rear-wheel drive car. So this is the only car that Subaru makes that is not all-wheel drive. The true thing I think is about both of these cars is they're true sports cars.
They are.
Yours is, you know, we did our comparison of the WRX, which is a little bit more of a well-rounded vehicle. This is a pure sports car. This is, in my opinion, almost even more so a pure sports car. It's rear-wheel drive, it's manual transmission, and it's extremely, extremely light. Yes, it doesn't have as much horsepower, perhaps even a little over 100 less, which is quite a big difference. But I think the biggest thing that we're going to take a look at here is because these are so different in price, it's dependent on what you're looking for. Right now, this is priced on our website right around $21,000, whereas this is around $35,000.
But you pay for what you get.
That's true. I get you there. But the truth of the matter is, yes, it's not going to be a big deal if you're, living in Florida or Georgia where you don't get a lot of snow and stuff. Because I've actually owned a 2013 BRZ, and in the snow, it's not the greatest thing in the world. I'm going to be honest with you. But you have $15,000 of extra money now to spare between these two cars. So the question is, do you buy the one car or do you buy this and possibly a $15,000 Jeep Wrangler? That's the true question. So we're going to compare these two vehicles and we're going to determine two things. Which one would we buy and which one is more fun to drive? Let's go take this for a spin.
Right off the bat, I noticed something I don't like.
Okay. Wow, negative Nancy over here.
Well...
Oh. This is rear-wheel drive. All right, well, sorry, I didn't interrupt. I was having a little bit of fun there.
The reverse is in the front left, where most Subarus it's in the bottom right.
That's true.
So your might as well just be a Ford. That's all it is. Yeah,
that's true. I did actually get confused. I was like, because all right, fine. I'm gonna admit it. I'm gonna come out here and say something. I told you a little bit earlier that I did own a BRZ. I owned a 2013. It was automatic. All right, so let me explain myself first of all. I was living in Chicago, okay? So traffic there is like ridiculous. So driving a manual car was just not something I wanted to do there. So, first thing, let's talk about seating position. This is very much in a almost Lotus Elise style seating position. My legs are almost entirely flat, a little bit more aggressive, I would say, in either the WRX.
I never thought I'd hear someone compare the BRZ to a Lotus Elise.
Why?
At least this is like a Mazda Miata, except that point made, Mazda Miata is actually faster than this. The MX-5 is faster than this car.
All right.
Go on.
Okay.
I'm just saying the facts. Go
all right. Well, here's the thing though. This is a very comparable car to that. I think this is a little bit more aggressive in styling. This is a little bit more, go sideways kind of drift sort of car than that is. But they're both very similar in the sense that there's not a lot of horsepower in it. This is only 200 horsepower, and what? The Miata has like, what, 140?
The new one has like 165. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. I have to look it up. But
don't quote me on the 148 either. But I mean, what I'm saying is that they're lightweight cars, and they're not about, zoom like super far, fast forward. They're about how they handle the corners. And I think this car handles corners so well.
It does.
And you can either have it in control, you can turn off, the, so to speak, sport mode. They do have a couple buttons down here to either turn off just traction control, or they have VSC Sport, which is going to not only turn off traction control, but it's also going to turn off your stability control. So that's what's going to let you go sideways. That is fun.
Now, I will say this though, I mean, living out here in Colorado, this is not the vehicle of choice, which is obvious, but, all of our videos are pretty much nationwide, so obviously people down in Florida, Southern California, things like that, this is a very hot vehicle down there because you can do things like this. You don't have to worry about too much snow or anything like that. and it is a lot of fun to drift. I will say that. You know, whenever we've actually been testing it out, sometimes you don't mean to get sideways, it just happens, but that's the fun part.
And you're in control though, you know what I mean? Like you feel so much in control. I have such a huge amount of road feel here as I'm turning it, and especially when I turn VSC Sport on, so I have that on right now, I have traction and stability off. I've got a better feeling of the road, I think, when I do that.
Now, most people know this, is that the Subaru BRZ is a comparison with the Scion FRS. It was a joint program between Toyota and Subaru. Obviously, Subaru is a little bit more well-known out here in Colorado, being all-wheel drive, but the one thing that makes this vehicle well-known is the fact that, yes, it shares the same platform with the Scion, but this maintains its Subaru heritage with being a boxer engine. So you get to have that boxer feel, the boxer just torque that people love out here. And the Scion FRS compares very, very similar to it, but this is also just a, it's a very fun car to drive. I will say this, on a road trip, I would take this over the STI in a heartbeat because of the feel of the road. The STI is not the best road vehicle. I mean, you feel every bump, but it's a sports car. You know, it's a race car. That's what it's meant to do.
This isn't a soft suspension either, but I actually feel like I'm in a Formula One car. I feel like I should have a helmet on.
You're sitting really low. I mean, and
visibility is exceptional, though. I mean, I can see absolutely everything. A lot of that has to do with just the horizontal way that the engine, the boxer engine is designed. So it slopes very, very nicely there over the front, which is really cool.
I will say one thing I really do like about this is the fact that Subaru did something which is, amazing. They kept the World Rally Blue in this edition, and I think that's what people notice out here. Whenever they see the World Rally Blue, they automatically think it's a WRX or the STI. And they see the BRZ, and it just makes them feel more passionate about it. I mean, and oddly enough, they actually do rally these cars.
I've seen it. Yeah, it's actually awesome. It's like a whole new genre of
it is. And you know what though? It's a lot more challenging. So I have a little bit more respect for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was, so like when I had it in Chicago too, like I did drive it through the winter. You had to I used Pirelli Sato Zero Series 2 winter tires on there, which made a huge difference over this when I went in just summer tires, which don't ever suggest. But, it's extremely light, but I had such a fun time kind of like drifting this and stuff. So I think it's going to be okay in the snow, I think, when you're kind of on a flat level. I think if you're trying to take it up to the mountains, though, it's not a good idea. So here's one of the biggest things that I'm trying to say, or, maybe argue could potentially be a better option. This car is, in my opinion, almost or as fun as an STI, just as a driving fun sports car. But it's $15,000 less. Is it $15,000 more fun? That's my question. We're comparing two vehicles.
You have to think about it too, though. The STI has been out for how long?
A long time.
A long, long time. The BRZ came out just a couple years ago.
2013 was the first year, I think. So 2012 is when we made it.
Yeah, and I remember I was at Fort Leonard, Missouri, whenever I got sent the magazine of the brand new Subaru BRZ, and I was like, what? Rear-wheel drive? And I kind of liked the way it looked,
it is very beautiful.
Yeah, but that's one thing I think that makes the STI so much more expensive is the fact that the STI is been made in the same factory ever since it came out. And it also holds its value because it's been around for so long. This has not been around quite that long, and honestly, I'm sure in Southern Cal, Florida, Texas, places like that, it's going to sell a little bit more, and it's going to have a little bit more of a calling than out here.
Yeah. I think another thing to note as well, both the WRX and the STI are both pretty practical cars for the most part, you know what I mean? They're literally, they're 5-seaters, you can fit adults in there comfortably, This is what I call a 4-seater for tax purposes. It's more, when you have a car that you are importing, it is more expensive to import a 2-seater than it is a 4-seater. So these seats,
kids with no legs.
Yeah. If you've got some, people with no legs that you're commuting a lot, you can do that, and it's going to be fine. But there's so minimal, like when I ever had to have someone behind me, they either fold their legs up, or I had to be dangerously close to the steering wheel. It's just not a comfortable thing. The cool thing is, when you do fold the seats down, basically just accept that it's a 2-seater. Accept that it's a 2-seater, you fold the seats down, and you can have, a ton, you can have, you can actually fit 4 tires and wheels in there, which is kind of cool, but that's about it. You don't really have a lot of space.
Well, I will say this. On our way here, we were on 470, and we were going side by side.
Yeah.
And, I have the turbocharged car. I was loving it. I saw you creep up next to me, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to smoke this guy.
I was sneaking.
Yeah, and anyway, I went from 5th to 4th, and I slammed on the gas, and then you did the same thing. I was very surprised. And then I realized, okay, yeah, he only has 200 horsepower, but look at his power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
That's where everything just dispersed, because the STI is a heavy car. Most people don't really realize that.
I don't think I want to be in the sling.
Yeah, you do.
I do?
Yeah.
Well, I've already made the choice. Whoopsie.
You just want to do a U-turn.
The thing I think that is important to note as well. So we're talking about, this being non-turbocharged and naturally aspirated. One thing I do not like about the STI and WRX is first gear. I don't like first gear. I think it's almost a waste. You're like, can I get out of this gear? Because you don't feel the turbo. You don't really feel all that stuff. And so what I like about this is just the naturally aspirated feel. The power is so much more evenly distributed throughout the whole process. And I can comfortably rock first gear for a while and go up to second and have the same, kind of continuous powered feel, which I really like. So I think, this is a fun car you can use, on the track. It's fun for, weekend drives and stuff. If you live in southern places, you can use this as a daily driver and stuff. But yeah, it's not as practical as per se the STI. But then here's the thing. So this is going to be more for our Colorado viewers or people that are just in the mountains in general. Would you rather spend $20,000 or so, $22,000 on this, and then buy like a Jeep Wrangler or an Xterra or something like that with the remaining things that you take out? You kind of compensate mileage a little bit. You save mileage on each of the cars, and then you have two true purposed vehicles. You have your sports car and you have your mountain car. What's your feel on that?
I'd rather have one car that does it all. So I'm still leaning towards the STI, but of course I haven't driven this much. So
okay. Well, why don't we switch here? I'm just gonna get up here. I feel weird driving like a sports car like next to a playground. I just feel like I'm gonna get a ticket.
All right, let's switch.
Let's swap.
Chinese fire drill.
All right.
Well, everything's off. Traction control's off. Sport mode's on. Let's see what this thing can do.
I'm cruising. What this kind of reminds me of too a little bit is the S2000. You've got a 9,000 RPM red line there. You know what I mean?
Noticed that until you just said it.
Yeah,
I'm kind of shocked.
This is a rev happy. This is a car that just loves the high revs.
It does.
And since it's naturally aspirated too, it's just like that's where you get the real. Oh my God, that actually sounds good. I didn't get it up as high as you did. That sounds much better. That's just where it likes to be. That 5 to 7,500 range. Just loves that area. And I felt weird too, because like when I was driving it compared to my WRX, I never really paid as much attention to it, but now, thinking about what gear I'm in, I'm in like a gear lower with this than I am in the WRX, or like at least where I feel comfortable, because the WRX, that band is more in the middle. The high RPMs is not where it likes as much.
So I must say, driving it, totally different experience.
Yeah.
Liking it a lot.
So I like it.
Mostly it's the feel, like these seats really hold you well. The STI, they hold you, but not as good as these.
Yeah.
And I must say, you got me with the 9,000. I was just shocked. I'm like, holy, like seriously, 9,000 RPM. And then the sound, and you have to realize we're at a mile high here. So if you were down in Florida, we're at sea level. I mean, this thing's gonna be faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, basically what they say is every 1,000 feet you go up, you lose 5% of your horsepower. So, we're at a mile high, so this engine's working harder than it really should. So, I'm anxious to see what this thing would do, down at sea level.
Well, let's go drive to California. Handling, which is better, straight up better, all other things aside.
I have to go with the STI. It's all-wheel drive, and that makes the handling so much better. And I'm sorry if people disagree with me, but you have to realize, I mean, yeah, on a road like this, it's not really going to change that much. But when you're on a tight road, like we're about to go on one of these roads that speed limit, 60 miles an hour or so, and there's some tight turns.
Yeah.
This thing's gonna be fun, but that all-wheel drive STI, that's where that engineering is gonna come into play.
It's tighter. It's tighter for sure. I sometimes like that almost feeling like it might come, you know, like the back might come out a little bit. You know, I kind of like that. But I agree. I think steering is better in the STI.
Right.
Ride comfort, which is better.
Better already. This is better than the STI.
I agree. I agree. The STI is very harsh. You know what I mean? So
I will say this: I'm going to pull into a parking lot right here.
Oh boy.
And
Ben, what are you doing?
Well, you know,
Ben, what are you
there's
doing?
not a lot of cars out here.
Ben. Benjamin, what are you doing?
I'm just going to show, you know, what this car was really nice at. Welcome to the STI. This is by far still my favorite. Don't get me wrong, BRZ was fun to drive.
Yes.
But I have something the BRZ does not have besides all-wheel drive and over 100 more horsepower. I have SI drive.
SI drive's super clutch.
So I'm going to put it into sport.
Kind of the middle mode in between intelligent and sport sharp. I mean, you kind of have a little bit, you know, in the sense of a track mode, but it doesn't do anything to the engine. It's just turning off traction and stability. You know what I mean?
It's just throttle response. Speaking of traction,
yeah.
I'm going to go and shut that off. Oh, track mode. There we go.
Oh yeah, look at this Mini Cooper on our way. Otherwise, we'd be doing a little bit of burnouts.
Oh, he's just gonna. All right.
A little bit more spacious. Definitely feels.
You can already feel the ride though. See how rough it's been.
Yeah. Better sound, I think, too.
Well, you got unequal length headers on this one, and that 2.5, which has been with the STI for so long.
Yeah.
And a lot of people complain about that. You know, I have a lot of people that'll come up to me all the time. They'll say, yeah, the STI is fun. You know, it's a great car, but it's had the same engine for the past 8 generations.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people complain about that. I mean, because they basically compare it to the Evo, which is no more.
Yeah. Thank God.
And, yeah. But they compare it to other cars, and the thing is, you have to realize, WRX stands for World Rally Cross. That's what the car was made for.
Yeah.
The STI was a company that basically made the WRX so much better, and that's what the STI is. It is a rally car.
Yeah.
You know, preach to me all you want about how it's a track car. It is a rally car. That's what it's made for. And the thing is, all right, yeah, I've had the past. You know, I have the same engine for the past 8 generations. You know, yeah, but look at who's won the last 10 Rally Americas. Subaru.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're doing it with the same engine.
Yeah.
So, and Subaru's response is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Fair. I noticed one thing I do. You definitely have more pull on this. You know, once you get up there. So yeah, once you get up there for sure. But you don't have that sort of continuous, like when we were on the highway and we were kind of driving side by side a little bit, you don't have that continuous power across almost the whole band like you do in the BRZ.
Right.
You still are going to have more pull. So maybe I pull away for a few seconds ahead of you, but you are going to pass me. I mean, there's a lot more power in this car. Oh, that was rough, buddy. Come on, Ben. Yeah. Oh, boy.
That 0 to 60 pull is just...
Yeah. That's fast. I mean, yeah, you got me beat there. I mean, I physically not possible in the BRZ, absolutely.
And you know what though? Just like you said before, handling. Okay, yeah, I can feel the car, and you can feel the all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
When you go around a corner, you can feel it working.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about it. I mean, you have the best all-wheel drive system on the planet.
Yeah. I feel lower to the ground. I feel, you know, the slightly lower center of gravity in the BRZ, which gives it a nice feel around the corners, but I feel more grip in this car.
Yeah.
I feel more grip around the corners.
Well, you know, just like I said before, you have SI drive. So right now we're in sport. We haven't gone to sport sharp yet. And all this can do is change the whole throttle response, really.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the center diff, which I always leave on auto.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you're in a sticky situation, you may need to lock the rear diff or move some of the power in the front, move some of the power in the rear. I just leave it on auto because Subaru's all-wheel drive, and it does it best. It knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
Just let it take control. It'll do everything by itself. So
yeah. And I know, like in our other review too, when we were trying to, like, you know, with the differential move, you know, more power to the back. You know, on a dry surface sort of like this, I didn't really notice it a ton. It was only really when either it was wet or gravel, you know, those types of situations, I could either go sideways or I couldn't, you know, do a donut because of that extra rear power.
Right.
So in the sense of like, if you want to go sideways, you can do it sometimes in this car. The BRZ is going to be better at that kind of thing, though, for sure.
Definitely. Before you said get a BRZ and then 15 grand get a Jeep Wrangler. You know, I can take this car all over the roads. Doesn't matter if there's snow or not. It'll plow through. But if I want to take it off road, I would not recommend this for off road.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Car. But you know, that's one thing is, I'll drive around whenever it's, you know, snowing out. Get some snow tires on these things, and it is so much fun to drive in.
Yeah.
And you'll see other cars, they just look at you like, is that really an STI plowing through the snow? Yeah. And literally, I mean that, plowing through the snow.
Yeah. You can see videos on YouTube of it going through like 2 feet of snow.
Yeah. So it's fun to drive. It's a blast to drive.
Yeah.
And you know, compared to the BRZ, they are two totally opposite cars. They really are. But I can honestly say, after driving the BRZ, I would own both of them.
Yeah.
I really would. And, you know, that would be a great summer car. This would be a great all-around car because I can do just about anything with it.
All right. You're making me jealous, dude. I got to start driving this thing. Pull over right now, Ben. I like that sound.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's nothing quite like it.
It does gargle nicely.
Now,
I did not like the exhaust as much. I like the sound of the engine, the organic, naturally aspirated sound, but I did not like the sound of the exhaust as much. I feel like I could have used a little STI performance.
Very true. There we go. Get it. There you go. Woo! Now, that little sound y'all are hearing is basically called the actual rev limiter. You can set your rev limiter to whatever rev you want. So, for instance, during the first 1,000 miles of owning this car, you want to keep it under a certain RPM to just break that engine in.
Yeah.
But once you get past 1,000 miles,
we're broken in, baby.
Yeah. So right now it's set for 6,000. So, and you can hear the beep, and you can also see it. It turns on actual rev light, and that is just music to some people's ears. They love hearing that. So, but I mean, right off the bat, what do you think?
I was sitting up kind of high. So even when I lowered the seat height to like the lowest position it goes, and I still feel like I'm sitting higher up. My leg position is not quite as Lotus Elise, and I'm going to compare it again because it's actually kind of similar thing. So, but you know, your legs are almost out flat. This is much more of a sedan style drive. Is this where I take a right?
Nope.
Cool. So in terms of feel,
you can feel the all-wheel drive a little bit. Now,
yes, I
hear a little bit
on the BRZ,
but once you take that turn onto that fun road, you're gonna feel it.
You know what I mean? I feel a little bit more road feel in the BRZ, but this is still a little tighter. I think, and we'll see it here when I'm going around the turn. Yeah, it grips. You know, I feel like the inside is still really tight, whereas in the BRZ, I'm kind of waiting for it to go out a little bit. This feels much more stable. I have a little bit more confidence, I think, in more situations. End of the day, I think I know your answer, but what do you think's better?
People who know me know this. I still prefer the STI.
Yeah.
You know, they are very different vehicles. So, but the STI just does more stuff better.
Yep.
It really does. It seats 4. It's an everyday driver. The power, I mean, we don't have to go there.
Yeah. And I can't argue that. There's no argument there.
But, you know, you're getting a car that's fun to drive. They hold their value, and best all-wheel drive system on the planet.